of child behavior at the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology and Neuroscience, King's College. He has several interests, and we have enjoyed yesterday a workshop on parenting. He is an author of the best-selling introductory textbook, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, together with Robert Goodman, and an author and editor of large authoritative textbook, Rutter's Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. In 2014, he was made Commander of the British Empire by the Queen, and in 2017, a Fellow of the Academy of Medical Sciences. In 2019, he was made an Honorary Fellow of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. He is also the President of ECAB. And now, please welcome Sir Stephen Scott.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me? Thank you for having me here. It's a great honor to be in your country. The last time I was here was in 1970. I was a boy, and I never saw the pyramids, so I put that right on Sunday, so I'm very happy. Thank you for inviting me. So, I'm talking about conduct disorders. It is not a fashionable diagnosis. There is a lot of shame about having a child who is badly behaved. The parents feel embarrassed in the supermarket or the street if the child or at school. But it is important, I want to persuade you. This is the little boy who likes football. And the question is, does he grow up to become this young man? This is in London, in Tottenham, where we had some riots. Oh, Aswad said this is some background reading. There's a chapter, if you like a lot of reading, there is a big book, or there is a little book as well, with a chapter in the Rutter text. So why are they important? They're very common. 5% of children have it at a diagnostic level. Schizophrenia, what, 1%, 1.5%? So it is a lot more common than some of the other disorders. Bipolar, 2%. It has a big effect on your life, as I am about to show you. And it persists. Anxiety, only 25% of children have it 3 years later. Depression, 20%. Conduct disorder, 50%. It does not get better very often. It continues to adulthood, and it is expensive. It costs you and me a lot of money in taxes for the prisons, for the special school meetings, and because they do not get a job. So this is a longitudinal study, typical. This is in New Zealand. I always surprise my medical students when I say, if you take a naughty boy in the class, one of the worst 2 in the class in England are 30, what are the chances he will become the kind of adult you are a bit ashamed of? You do not want your daughter to marry. Why do you not want your daughter to marry him? He is violent, he uses drugs, he has made lots of other people pregnant, he has got no exams, and he is taking state handouts in the UK. People think the risk is 30–50%, but look, it is 400% up to 1,000%. This is a very nasty condition. So it costs us money, it is miserable for the parents, it's tyrant, kicking, shouting, stealing everybody, and the child themselves has low self-esteem. So, this is epidemiology. So, this is age across the bottom, and the level of antisocial behaviour up. So they start high in the top line, and they don't really stop. Some do stop. You and me on that blue line on the bottom. We are very good, we are attentive, we go to conferences. And then there's some who in adolescence become a bit naughty, but they usually get better. So the expensive ones are the younger children who are going to persist. This is an estimated cost in the UK over the lifespan, about £250,000 British pounds, multiplied by 20 for Egyptian pounds. So if we could have an effective treatment, it does not have to be terribly effective. If we can give it to people, it will save society money if it has persistent effects. Just to say for adult psychiatrists, this is the Genevan study. What are the childhood diagnoses that come before eating disorders? If you see the bottom line, the one who had an eating disorder, the percentage who had a conduct disorder or oppositional beforehand are in the black bar, the grey bar, and the pale bar are the ones who don't. So antisocial behaviour or conduct disorder is the commonest diagnosis before anorexia or eating disorders. And also in front of schizophrenia, again, conduct disorder, the bottom one, is the commonest antecedent of schizophrenia. So it is important for adult mental health as well as for child mental health. Well, what causes it? If you are poor, you are more likely to have it. The two conditions in all of childhood in the Western world which have the biggest difference between the rich and the poor are conduct problems and obesity. There is a discussion whether the media, whether watching violent films causes more antisocial behaviour, or is it that the antisocial boys like violent films? It's a bit of both. Now, when I studied a long time ago, we thought that we were all the same. Our culture gives us our behaviour, and genes give you your body. But we now know genetics actually can make you more irritable, a lower IQ, more ADHD, a bit of autism, which makes you more likely to be antisocial. But the biggest factor is the parenting. Parents who are harsh, they smack their kids. One day they do one thing, the next day they do something different. And they're not very involved, they're busy at work all the time, they leave them to play on their Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo game. They do not teach them good habits. And they're not very good at setting a limit, a consequence. Oh, all right, you can stay up late. Oh, all right, you can have some extra food. They're not consistent, they don't apply their rules. So this is the most complicated slide I want to show, but this is the question is it genetic or is it environmental or both? So this is a Swedish study where they took parents who were alcoholic or criminal, so not very good genes. The baby was given away before 1 year to some parents who were also either alcoholic and criminal or not. Now you might think a social worker who gives a baby to an alcoholic and criminal family is not doing a good job. But they did, they had enough. So if you have the bottom left, good genes and a good upbringing, so no alcoholic or criminal parent, birth parents and your adoptive parents are not alcoholic or criminal, only 3% are known to the police by the time of 70. If you have the next bar along, which is a low risk but brought up by got parents who are alcoholic or criminal, it doubles your risk. And not a good upbringing, okay. But what is interesting is the next green bar is the people who have high genetics, even in a good upbringing. This was a shock to me, I thought. Surely not, but your genetics can make you more likely to be antisocial. But please look at the last bar. Bang! If the gods have given you two bad cards, bad genetics, and a bad upbringing, it's very bad for you. And we, as clinicians, these are the kids we're going to see in our clinics. They probably have had difficult upbringing and not such bright, irritable, jumpy kids. But that is not a miserable message, because if we can improve their environment down towards that, we will get less likely things. So it's a positive message. We can do more good with these people. So just to say that, again, when I was young, I couldn't believe it was a great difference, but now we scan these people. This is a study I did with colleague Kasr, and we see a neuroscan difference in the dorsolateral area in ordinary kids in an fMRI machine. So they do have intrinsic biological differences. These are the dorsolateral and the 1 to other brain areas. So are they all the same or are they different? Well, there are 3 types. The ordinary naughty kids, if you like. They break the rules, they don't obey, and they're more likely to become criminals, or in London, a drug dealer, a thief, a fraud. Then there are some who get very angry very quickly if you annoy them. Oh, they explode like a volcano. But half an hour later they say sorry. It's as if they cannot control their emotions. They have emotional dysregulation. And they're more likely to become depressed or manic depressive when they grow up. And the third kind is the not very nice kids, the little baby psychopaths, which we call callous and unemotional, and they are not very easy to treat. Much research now, they are in DSM-5 with limited prosocial emotions. They understand if you are upset, but they don't care. So they are very good bullies, they're very good at kicking people, they're very good at proactive aggression, and they can be very charming. In England now we have a few adults who are very good at telling you, I have a great investment scheme, it's going to be fantastic, give me your money, I will make you double your money. And they're very good salesmen, these psychopaths, and they do it, getting money out of people. Biologically, they do not seem to be responsive to punishment. If you are nasty to them, they do not have a raising pulse rate like you and me, they do not have more cortisol. Interestingly, I'm sorry about the bottom thing, they are pretty genetically caused. The heritability is 80%, even in 7-year-olds. Whereas the ordinary naughty kid, it's the way they're brought up, is 30%. So these kids are different, and they're quite difficult. So this is another brain scan at University College London by my colleague S.E. Biddy, that the amygdala, which is where you feel fear, if you like, are just much less active than in controls. So these kids are very different, these callous and emotional kids. So, poor parenting, of course, has a lot of effects. It affects your behavior and your emotions. If you are not taught good manners and to be polite, you don't have social skills, you get more angry because you are frustrated quickly, and you are not made to do your homework, so you don't do so well in learning. And it can affect your attachment insecurity. You do not have a parent who is there for you when you're upset, and that leads to a number of less good outcomes. And if you do not bring your children up well to not smoke, to eat vegetables, they're more likely to become healthy and to have obesity. And finally, in the last 15 years, we have been learning how if you are a parent who is tough on your child, it affects their biology. Their brain growth is different, their prefrontal and their amygdala.
Their cortisol reactivity is greater, and they have more inflammatory markers. Whereas if you're sensitive, you have lower levels of cortisol, you have lower levels of C-reactive protein, and you have a bigger prefrontal and amygdala area. So, I don't know what you find, but I find if you say to a parent, this is going to affect your child's brain, suddenly it becomes more important. They like the idea of their child having a beautiful brain. So, I was able to chair something called NICE, which is where we review the evidence, what should be recommended, and there have now been over 80 randomized controlled trials to do parent training in a group. Child anger management can help. It's not much used in England. And in teenagers, they recommend multimodal treatment. But I have a careful caution that the studies in adolescents are in the United States, where the alternative treatment as usual can be quite tough. They put a lot of children in jail, or they give them rather tough sentences. So, obviously, the way you show you should behave to your children will affect how they behave. If you smoke, if you shout, they will learn how to shout. But specifically, and what is new compared with 50 years ago, where it was considered you have an inner conflict, so you're externalizing the problem, so therefore you should give them psychoanalysis. This doesn't work for this condition. Whereas actually, once you have behaved, the way you are responded to makes a big difference. So if we remember 2 plus, if you give something nice, it's positive reinforcement. I say, thank you very much for listening to me so politely. You're more likely to do it again. Thank you for doing your homework. That's good. Some people say, well, isn't that rather tough? Shouldn't you do it for value, for reward? To which I say, well, don't you get paid for your job? Don't you like any money? Yeah, rewards are important for adults as well. And if you smack somebody, you're giving them a negative, that's negative. And if you take away, quite a lot of our children, if they're misbehaving, I say, take away the mobile phone, take away their toy. But the difficult one is if you take away something nasty, you have negative reinforcement. So let me give you an example. A parent says to their child, turn off the television and go to bed. The child says, no, I don't want to do that. So the parent says, go to bed, hurry up, you will be stupid, you won't go to the good school. I really don't want to do that. No, I'm watching Mickey Mouse, it's fantastic. And the parent says, oh, all right, 5 more minutes. But so for the child, the negative thing, the mother saying go to bed, has been removed by him getting angry. So the child is learning, next time I get angry, I complain, and I get my way. So it's good. Another child perhaps learns all these difficult behaviors, and if the parent starts off by saying don't do it, and then gives in, you are training your child to become antisocial. But that means we can have a treatment where we can change that. If antisocial behavior can be learned, it can be unlearned. And put something more positive in. So, the treatment I'm going to show you now is a behavioral one. You start with the doing, straight away. You do not particularly try and change their thinking, as in cognitive therapy, or their feelings, as in psychoanalysis. You say, behave differently towards your child. Later, you may find they are not such a bad child after all. But you don't start by telling them about the child. So I'm now going to show you the example of this parenting intervention. This child was very naughty, so we started off by limit setting before going on to improving the positive bit. He needed a clear limit. He was crazy. He was going around, very badly behaved, ruining the household. The parents were quite warm, but they did not want to be like a soldier. They said, oh no, I could not be mean, I could not be disciplined. So we taught the parents to put the child into timeout. That is a chance for the child eventually to calm down, but to have no stimulation, because it's quite fun getting your parents angry, actually. Getting attention is quite nice. So you'll see me helping the mother hold him quietly. After you'll see to begin with this, then the mother will hold him quietly. Then we will promote the positive bit. So let me try and show this to you.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take your shoes off, sir. If you kick, then you're going to have masters, okay? We're not going to do this. You said you're going to stop kicking it? Taking on, he won't help me. John said it's even on, because you're putting it out, so it wasn't down.
See the mess? Yes, maybe, okay. And it is a father who is tidying up, not a child who is tidying up. It's a typical case.
No, that's through the chair. Do you remember? That's it. Lawrence, I'm giving you one more chance on that. No, don't put the shoes on.
So now the mother is holding it, not painfully, on the chair. When he is quiet, he's okay. So I'm supporting the mother to continue to hold him till he is quiet. Now he has to tidy up the cushion. Now we practice playing. And with the father.
I love you too.
You said I'm the best mother in the world now. He's not God.
Or the devil.
Or the devil. I thought you were a bit of a devil.
There's no respect for everyone going on. It's great accepting that I can say
Yeah. I mean, I think we both recognise that he's come a really long way. And we've come a long way as well. In 2 weeks now? No, 2 weeks ago, it's 40 minutes of restraint, yeah.
but for me, that's I think the best thing, a way of showing him that I'm strong without.
So I think you see, it was tough. There was a bit of power. There was boss in the home. But after that took 40 minutes, that first holding on a chair. Second time, 5 minutes, and then it wasn't necessary. Very quickly, the power changed, and we improved the positive relationship through play. And did you notice this boy said, having had a difficult relationship with his father, I love you, Dad. He's improving his attachment to the child. Also. But this was expensive, doing one-on-one in a clinic. So then I was interested, can we do a group? So we did a group of 140 kids referred with severe antisocial behaviour. And there they do the positive bit first, 3 weeks of playing with your child, how to praise positive behaviour, how to give a reward for the difficult behaviours, then setting limits, giving very clear commands, I want you to do this now, and a consequence. If you don't, you go to bed on some early, or you don't have any dessert for dinner. A simple consequence. So I wanted to know if that would work equally well. And you will see the control group in the background, standard deviations of the wing just on antisocial that did not grow out of it. The intervention group improved by more than one standard deviation. I was worried that when the parents left the group a year later, the child would get worse, but it didn't. They had learned new habits. The improvement persisted at one point. So that was easy. We've just finished the study now, seeing whether improving parenting improves the brain, and it has made the kids become more like typically developing change. This is in the grey matter volume, and the more the parents improve, the more conduct problems, and with improving conduct problems, bigger grey matter. So this parenting work also improves the brain. That is only 1 month old, that research. So now we did a follow-up between 7 and 10 years later to see if this would persist, which we would like it to do, and compared with standard treatment, which is a talking therapy. And they're now teenagers, and the rate of oppositional defiant disorder was halved from 50% to a little under 25%. And that nastiness, that callous unemotional traits, the little psychopathic traits, they were reduced, so that was good. And the children themselves said, that's what the parents said. The child said, yes, I'm better at home, I don't steal, I don't argue with my parents. And what was interesting is their were reading skill, they were better at reading. This is a completely objective test. They're doing more homework, and they're doing better. So that is so far so good. However, we asked the children, what about outside? Do you take sweets from the shops? Do you not pay when you go on the metro? Little things like that. They said no difference. And also at school we were bad. And the teachers, we said, did you see a difference in them at school? No difference. This was disappointing because I hoped they'd become beautiful people inside and would be nice everywhere. But maybe if we think about it, we all behave differently in different contexts. I expect when some of you are in the club, you're wild, but when you're in the mosque, you're very quiet and respectful. Different situations, different behaviour. So therefore, I think we needed to improve what teachers do in classes. And I've been involved in 2 trials. One was in Jamaica, where the kids are there's a real aggression and violence problem there. That led to good improvements where we teach we train the teachers in the same techniques. And with my colleague Tamsin Ford, who works with Robert Goodman, did a randomised control in 80 primary schools and 2,000 kids, and she measured not just the difficult ones, the whole class. They got significant effect size at 9 months. It washed out, and I know I've been hearing here in Egypt, in the Giza area, you have been training a lot of teachers and having a good liaison with them. This is something possible to think about. And it works with teenagers. We did an anti-bullying program and got less aggressive behaviour in schools. And a big trial, 7,000 kids. So it can work at a universal level. Okay. The next question is, so we've gone from individual clinical, group clinical, now I wanted to go into primary schools, and we know that the child who is at 3 defined is more likely to continue and become a criminal. You add in negative parenting. If they have hyperactivity, ADHD, that increases the risk. And if they drop out of school, that increases the risk. And the last factor is, if they hang out in a gang at night, they're more likely to be troublesome. So we then wanted to devise an intervention that would address some of these factors. So we did parenting. We got them early, when they were 5 and 6 years old, beginning school. We went into the poor areas in 8 schools in London. And we didn't just talk about the behaviour, because I'm sure it's the same here in Egypt. The parents want their children to do well in school, to go to good school, to get a good job. So we said, we will help you read at home to supplement what those teachers are doing. Sometimes the teachers are not so wonderful. Maybe we can help you do it even better. So we spent a term how to read at home with your child. So that is what we did. So this is a problem, because children who do not read in the summer holidays lose their reading skills. So if we get the parents to encourage them to read in the summer, then they should carry on and improve. So this is to show you a group. This is in the school, in a little room in the school. This mother who is talking has 2 children, Nathan and Nathaniel. They are twins. Nathan is a joy. Nathaniel, watch out, even mention his name, the mother gets cross. She's quite a frightening mother. She's big. She admits she hits him. He has already, at 6, been in trouble with the police for stealing chocolates at the supermarket. She is worried. She is black, another black boy going down the tube. Maybe he's going to become a drug dealer in London or something. She is very worried. So she started the play, the praise, and now she is in week 6 in the group program, rewards. What would you like to be better? Everything. No. Choose one thing, please. Okay, it is his dirty trainers at the end of school day coming on the carpet. She has a white carpet, leaves mud. Please hang up her trainers. You must do it every day. No, please, just a star for 3 days out of 5 to begin with, and then a reward. We suggest a 0 cost reward. Extra pudding, stay up a little bit late, half an hour extra on the Xbox. But no, she wanted to go to McDonald's, which is quite expensive, but that is what she chose. So let us see. So we said, go and do that for a week, make a chart. You can put stars on the chart, and let us see what the result of that is. Now, I hope not. So I do. See if this is.
I don't shout at him no more. I don't run and spray at him no more. I will just look. How do you enter this class? You make
So I think you see that we get a supportive group for the parents. Did you notice she said, I'm praising him, I'm hugging him. And when he said, I do not want the stinking stars, she did not hit him, she was flexible. She said, okay, draw a smiley face. And I think you can see she started with the behaviour, but now her head is seeing this boy in a different way. He can achieve something. He is capable of doing that. So that is an example of how the positive aspect of the programme can improve behaviour before we get to consequences. So, did this work in this trial? Yes, the antisocial behaviour in the foreground of the intervention group compared with the control. We were just given a book. Improved. The hyperactivity, their restlessness and inattentiveness improved. And on objective testing, their reading age, they're in the foreground. In the background, the teachers are doing a good job. This is their chronological age to their reading age divided by their chronological age. So the teachers are doing a good job, but the parents will help them get a better reading age at 6 months, at the age of 6. So you can make a difference to your children. You can help them do better in their learning, even if they're difficult kids. So I would say, if you ask me, adolescents, this work for adolescents too, that's my clinical experience, but then I've done 2 randomized controlled trials, one with functional family therapy, very careful trial, no effect. This is teenagers who are antisocial, and now we've just finished one multi-systemic therapy, which is big business in the States. They get a lot of money for it. 684 kids randomized, quite difficult kids, I agree. 0 effect. We've just done a 5-year follow-up. 0 effect. So that is a bit depressing. I'm not sure what to do about adolescents. Quite often, once they're on the streets, what you do at home doesn't make much difference. But we need to work a bit harder to reward them for being at home and set clear consequences. So far I don't know what to do with evidence for adolescents in Europe. Well, I'm not a Marxist, but Engels said, oh, this theory is very good, it's very good. When you go to some American universities that have fantastic research, but 1 kilometre down the road, no services. So I wanted to improve services. We had this observation in the first clinical trial that I got a research team to look at the skill with which the therapists deliver the therapy and the outcome. And if you see, the most skilled therapists get a big effect in change, the right one, and the least skilled therapists were doing harm, actually. So, but it wasn't that they didn't make a good relationship, they were nice, they were fun, they didn't do any of the specific program. They talked about the best supermarket to buy baked beans in, and various other things. So for this intervention, you do need to stick, role play, practice. It's not just in your head, I think I would be nice to my child. Just like you say, I think I'll be nice to my wife or husband, you have to actually do it. You have to buy those words and make that mistake. So we managed to persuade then the Labour government and the glory days of economy and the European Union to get and Gordon Brown to give us £30 million to train up 4,000 practitioners in evidence-based approaches. Then there was the banking crash, the subprime, all the money dried up. So I'm afraid that has stopped since then. We carry on research, but we're not training as many people. So finally, how am I thinking? The next step to get it out to the whole population is to do an app. So at the minute I've just developed a beta version of an app called Parenting Matters Online. It has 11 minutes and you can hold it. The good thing is online you can do it at home, in the evening, there's no shame attached. But you get a better effect on all these things if you have a practitioner say, to begin with, do this, ring you up after a week. Did you do your homework? Did you practice it? Like any skill. So, and that is an example of the first page. It has video clips and you can upload your own channel. So finally, I think the last step in getting good services is to get the public to be concerned. If you go into a British airport lounge, you have about 5 magazines on cars, 6 on computers. But where is the one on the best way to bring up their children? So I think we do need to get the parents to think what parenting program they should choose. There's a lot of parenting programs out there, and we want parents with room for the kids, not just a 4x4 car with room for the kids. Big rip-off services. There are a lot of snake oil charlatan services around. And we have evaluated 150 programs, and there are only about 10 that are really effective. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to get the people to demand better services. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Scott, for such an amazing plenary and drawing our attention to pay attention to the capabilities of such conduct disorder and the importance of parenting in such treatment. Thank you so much. Now we announce the coffee break for 15 minutes, maybe because we are going to make it as quick as possible. Thank you.